I am Curran Bhatia, speaking with former featherweight champion Heather Hardy. Heather, thanks so much for speaking with me. So, obviously, you've had such a great career, so many big wins. But most recently, unfortunately, it was the loss to Amanda Serrano in September. I know that you said when you first started winning fights, it was like drugs for you. It was such a great feeling. You've had some time to reflect on the loss now. So, how are you feeling now about the loss to Serrano?
I feel fine. Life goes on. It's work, it's a job, and I'm okay.
And you made it through that first round. That was a really tough first round. It seemed like they may even stop the fight. I know that there's no moral victories in boxing, obviously, but do you take some pride in the fact that you were able to stay up in that first round and make it all the way through the fight?
Not really. I know how tough I am, and leading up to the fight, it was no secret that Amanda was better than me. Everybody knew that I wasn't on her level, But I knew how tough I was, and everybody who worked with me and trained with me knew how tough I was, and that was my strength going into the fight. I really thought I'd be able to put enough together to get the win, so it doesn't feel like a victory because that's exactly what I expected myself to do.
And also what emerged after the fight, and I obviously wanted to get your take on the situation, your side of the story. There was the suspension or what was rumored to be a suspension by the NYSAC for the diuretic. I believe that you and your team were appealing that, so I just wanted to get the whole story from you.
Sure. It's real simple. I signed up for VADA 10 days before the fight, and in my mind it was like, okay, no drugs, duh, I don't take drugs, and it was my fault that I didn't look through the list or the procedures, and all prescriptions had to go through VADA, and I didn't get the clearance for it. And the truth of the matter is, look, people are online diuretics, mass steroids. When you have a baseball player that's a man taking diuretics, it's like, okay, a basketball player, okay, I'm a female. Women get their period, that we will gain 5 and 6 pounds overnight. I'm in a weight-based sport. I took it 3 or 4 days before my weigh-in. It's no secret that I struggled to make weight. Just a month earlier, I didn't make weight, and this was the biggest fight of my career. So I took a diuretic, didn't clear the prescription with the board. I told the tester that I had taken it, because she asked, have you taken any prescriptions? I said, of course, I've taken this. So at this point, I feel like the athletic commission, it's almost like I parked my car in a no parking zone and they're giving me 20 years in jail. You know what I mean? They don't want to hear anything from me. So they've been really, really awesome and helpful. And we're pretty much this isn't going to have to go to court. We'll be able to settle this. So it's a matter of just getting my attorney and me in there to bang it out. The WBC came back and said the same thing. We have to give you a suspension for you didn't follow the rules, but, it's no, I wasn't doing steroids, and nobody thinks that.
And so just to be clear, you disclosed it to the people you were speaking with, but was it that, they said in the statement that it had to go to the therapeutic use exemption, the TU,
Yeah.
right? So it's basically you disclosed it in conversation, but it didn't go through the proper channels, right? Is that
exactly? And that's my neglect, right? I've had 26 professional fights along 2 different sports. I've never done this before. It was 10 days before my fight. I'm selling tickets, making weight, getting trained. And any female fighter will tell you that you start getting cramps close to the weigh-in. It's oh my God, please. And you're praying to God, please don't do this to me. Because I've missed weight, woke up on weigh-in day 6 pounds over. It's terrifying, but a woman's body does different things. I have a kid, my body completely changed. I'm almost 40 years old. I was wrong because I didn't check the procedure, and that is what we're kind of banging out with them.
So it was simply the procedure that went wrong there. So what I read was 6 months suspension and a $10,000 fine. Is that accurate? Is that the situation right now?
Yeah, that's what they had said. Apparently they had. I thought that they had leaked it to the press first and was mortified, but I didn't realize that they had told that what they said was someone they believed to be on my team. They had told someone they believed to be on my team, who clearly wasn't, because nobody told me, and I found out on Twitter.
And after this first came out, there was a little bit of back and forth between you and Amanda Serrano on Twitter. I know that obviously you guys had respect for each other after the fight. Has that situation kind of been cleared up? Are you guys good now?
No, you know what? We were never really friends. We just respected each other. And I think that the problem there is, and it's very true, you know, there's been lots of rumors circulating the Serranos and steroid use. And the truth of the matter is if they had come out and it was Amanda that tested positive instead of me, people would have went nuts. Right. So I don't even, you know, they may say one thing, Jordan may say, well, I know deep down Jordan does not believe that I use steroids. I know that for a fact.
Mm-hmm.
I think he is just so mad because had it been reversed and been Amanda, people wouldn't have given her the benefit of the doubt or even allowed this to go to trial. You know what I mean? So as much as I want to fire back at them and just be like, yo, what the fuck? You know me all these years. You know me better than that. At the same time, like I can't be, you know, saying nothing because it's true. If it went the other way around, nobody would want to hear what she had to say. They'd be like, nah. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So you have the 6 months now. So what is next for you? I mean, obviously you spent time in Bellator and boxing. Do you want to go back into boxing? Do you want to go back into MMA? What's next for you?
Well, I want to get through this first. Like we're appealing the suspension, and
Okay.
the commission, we're going to go in and talk to them, and because the bottom line is you can't be like $10,000 is the max penalty. That's what they're giving guys who fight $3 million, $4 million, $5 million fights and test positive for PEDs. Like, yo, you don't even want to see my prescriptions, hear my story. Like after the results came back, I was like, check my blood, send me for a hair follicle test. We'll do it like so I can prove to you that I have no drugs. And by the time they got back around to it was too late. Like the window had closed. This test should have come back 90 hours after taking it.
Mm-hmm.
It took them 2 weeks. I didn't even have no time. 2 weeks for the drug test to come back, you know? And I feel like, how you going to give me the same penalty you're giving somebody who made $7 million and actually tested positive for PEDs? Nobody is accusing me of taking PEDs. I took a prescription that was on the banned list. There's a difference, you know?
So you want to present your story to them. You want to kind of go into more detail and hopefully get that fine adjusted. So where are you in that process? Are they willing to speak with you?
Yeah. They've been talking to my lawyer and my manager, and we've been going back and forth. And I mean, you know, I can understand their stance, right? Like with the state of the way boxing is right now, protection is important, right? But to use me as a means to show that when like I have all the stuff you need, I mean, like I said, the New York Athletic Commission has been great, and like we're hoping to get this cleared up by this week.
So let's hope that situation gets resolved quickly so we can see you back in the ring or the cage, whatever it may be. I actually was speaking to a good friend of mine, Kela Fasana, who I know has interviewed you a few times, and he said he feels like you're in an interesting position because of the loss. It maybe makes other opponents think you're more vulnerable, and now they'll be willing to fight you, right? Before this, you were the champion undefeated, so maybe people were kind of a little hesitant. Do you feel that way, that maybe now you can get some bigger matchups?
I'm not saying that anyone was afraid to fight me before. And I don't think I look very vulnerable in that fight. To be honest, in the boxing community, anyone will tell you the hardest person to fight is someone who don't give up. So when you watch me go 10 hard rounds and still be right there fighting one of the, you know, the top elite level fighters, I mean, it's really not like any better or worse for me.
And I know you said you're going to take some time to think about what you want to do next. Is the rematch with Serrano, is that in your mind at all, or do you kind of want to move on to other opponents, or are you still kind of thinking about everything?
No, I mean, I got to see what opportunities present itself. I think I'm definitely going to go up maybe a couple weight classes, to be honest with you. It's like 126 is killing me. That's for one. But I really haven't given it so much thought.
And I know that in the past, you know, you've missed weight and had to give your entire purse to your opponent, and obviously that you won the fight, but it was still, I'm sure that was really tough, and you don't want to have that situation happen again. So the other question I of course have to ask, you're 37 years old, so has retirement at all crept into your mind? Is there any, you know, thought of the finish line in terms of your fighting career?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm not getting any younger, right? And the sport of boxing, with the state the way it is right now, people dying, close friends of mine dying, it forced me to take a really hard look at the politics of the sport and what happens to you when you lose that O or when you get to a certain level. Like, you really become bait. And I've had 60 stitches in my face. I've had my nose displaced and broken, multiple concussions. At this point in my life, I'm wondering, like, for as much as I do this to fight for my daughter, you know, if God forbid I don't wake up or don't come home for a fight, who's going to knock on my door and take care of my kid and tell my kid that, you know, sorry, we put mommy in a fight that we knew she couldn't win, but she didn't wake up. And I don't know that I'm ready for that.
And if you do eventually decide to call it a day, have you thought about what your second act would be? You know, training, commentating, being involved in the sport, or would you kind of do something totally different?
No, I love boxing. Boxing saved my life. Like, they say that all the time, right? It saves more lives than it takes. And boxing saved my life. And I love how, because I'm a teacher now, I train students, and I love how I watch boxing change the lives of the girls that I teach and the men that I teach. So I don't know that I'll ever not use that and my knowledge and my experience for that. Like, thought about opening up my own gym, maybe doing like speaking, public speaking, and possibly even managing fighters and thinking about taking it from that side of boxing.
And you mentioned fighter safety. I've actually been big on fighter safety, especially with all the tragedies that we've had. 5 boxers this year. There was just an MMA fighter that passed away, a female MMA fighter. And so I've been looking for a change in the culture, a lot more research, a lot more education. What do you think about fighter safety? How can we make our sport safer?
I think that there has to be more fair matchups, you know? Like, things like tune-up fights, they're not fair.
Right.
They're not fair to the person who gets to go in for the tune-up fight. Step-up fights, those aren't fair. Like, you look at someone like a Clarissa Shields, right? She came in elite level out of the amateurs and was like, give me the champions. She didn't do a million tune-up fights to prove to everybody that she was as good as she knew, you know? Lomachenko did the same thing. He came in and bam, just knowing what his level was. I think that everybody should really be fighting on their level, or voluntarily graduating from their level and stepping up. You have too many kids whose records are being built to become a B-side fighter. Average boxers who get fed easy opponents, 10, 15 fights, to go in and fight an Olympian for their tune-up fight or their step-up fight. You know, there's boxing, if it's guilty of anything, is selling kids dreams that they know that they can't have. And that's when people die. That's when people risk everything, because they say, you know what, maybe I could do it, because they believe what they hear. Maybe I can do it, and go in there and get their brains bashed in.
No, that definitely needs to be changed. And also, fighter safety is important. I know you've also spoken out about women's fighting versus men's fighting in terms of equality and pay and things like that. What would you like to see changed in that arena?
Well, how about, you know, for the champions, like, that we get paid enough where, you know, this isn't even our full-time job. People, they hear of like names like Heather Hardy, Amanda Serrano, you know, thinking that we have this huge showdown fight. It wasn't even a 6-figure fight. Mm-hmm. So while we made the highest, I don't know about her, I made the highest purse of my career. Right. It wasn't even 6 figures. And that's no one's fault. I mean, that's a tremendous purse in women's boxing, what I did receive. Right. But at the same time, this was $1 million, you know, fight if it was men with our record and our reputation and how we sold out the stadium, right? And did all the media and all the publicity for it. So that's what's disappointing. Like, so many of us are doing this and we still can't make a living.
No, that definitely needs to be changed, and I hope that can happen, because there are so many great women's fighters, women's champions, and they definitely need to be at the same level as men. And just in terms of your kind of mental state, you know, obviously you've been through a lot to get here. You were a survivor of sexual assault, and then you had the great career, but then recently lost the MMA fight, and then now lost the boxing fight. How are you doing as a person mentally? Are you doing okay overall?
I'm still a champion. I'm still, you know, light years ahead of where little Heather thought she would be. You know, to have seen the things I've seen, gone the places I've gone. I was just packing up my apartment because we have to move soon. And I was looking at all my trophies and all the newspaper articles and the pictures and the gifts I would get from the Barclays Center or the gifts from the garden. And it's like, little me never dreamed that I could have seen what I've seen through boxing. So I'll never leave and feel like a loser, even if I never compete and win another fight, even if I leave losing 2 fights in 2 sports to end my career. I've still done so many amazing things.
No, definitely. And you have achieved a lot in boxing, and then also stepping into MMA. That's really great. Let me ask you this. I know you said your daughter, she never thought you were cool, as a fighter. Has your daughter kind of come around? Is she seeing you on The Zone and other places?
Well, she doesn't think I'm cool still, but she likes me a lot more than her dad. So that's a good thing. She's like my best friend.
Well, that's great to hear. And Heather Hardy, I want to thank you so much for the time. Looking forward to getting this situation worked out and kind of moving beyond that. And I hope to talk to you soon when you have your next fight set up. So best of luck to you.
We sure will. Thank you.
Thanks so much.